Hey, welcome ladies and gentlemen to game number 1 of today's International East Qualifier action. We have WE on the Radiant, mithtrust on the Dire squad. Both of these teams are in the losers bracket, so whoever loses this match is out of the tournament. Of course, we saw mithtrust get knocked off yesterday. WE did manage to beat Ice, and so here they are, hoping to continue their run and not entirely be kicked out of the action. It's definitely a pressure situation for both teams, and WE has done their homework. They're going to go ahead, ban out that Morphling, one of mithtrust's signature heroes.
Yeah, it is. They've got a lot of options, mithtrust, for what they like to get for the kills, but Morphling is generally their preferred choice there. And we'll see what these two teams can come up with. I mean, for me, today's matches are some of the most exciting. We have some great matchups. Firstly, we've got World Elite and mithtrust. This, to me, is 50-50. You can go either way. It's in the loser bracket, so the loser of it is out of the tournament, has no chance to go to Seattle, so this is going to be some exciting stuff. And then the match after this, Dustbin up against Aeon, another match which I see as being about 50-50, two very even teams, that one there in the winner bracket. But World Elite this time around have got the first pick, so we'll see what they want to get. This pool has been left wide open. Darkseer, Prophet, Invoker, they're going to go with the Darkseer, and that's as a result of some of those less common bans, the Morphling, Windrunner, Enchantress, the Shadow Shaman. These are not always heroes you see being banned off.
Yeah, indeed, that is the case. Darkseer, as that first pickup, such a versatile hero. Of course, can go into the jungle, can go into that suicide lane. Very strong in any situation. Now, we have seen Darkseers have a little bit of difficulty, particularly against Clinks. I think we saw that yesterday, that Clinks really dominated Darkseer in lane. And hey, mithtrust is a team that has been known to run Clinks. Could certainly run him here. One of Lakel's heroes that he likes to play. Will they pick it up this early, though? Generally, Clinks is not a hero you see picked up this early. I know it is going to be that Invoker as well as Leshrac. Great team fight, great burst damage, versatile laning heroes. And if you want to go for that Exhort Invoker, a lot of early game ganking firepower. So I like the way mithtrust is picking here, and it's no surprise, of course. These are standard picks for them. They gave away a Darkseer, and there's a Prophet in the pool. I would be very surprised if WE doesn't snap that up here.
Yeah, I feel like these Dire heroes are okay against the Prophet. I mean, they've got a lot of firepower. They're not necessarily they're going to get walked all over by a Prophet. They can stop his split pushing. I mean, heroes like Leshrac are good at clearing out waves. Even Invoker can hold his own, just go solo defend. And it's not like mithtrust are trying to go for a fast push and that counter push is going to hurt them. They're happy to get some farm up on heroes like Invoker, Leshrac, play a slower paced game. I feel like Prophet, in general, the way you play a Prophet isn't that good against mithtrust style of play, where they'll just sit back and farm, play sort of a defensive style of play. Whereas we'll see what World Elite want to get as a result. I imagine the Clinks is definitely being considered here for mithtrust, especially based on how well it does against the Darkseer. So that's whether or not that's something World Elite are aware of, we'll have to wait and see.
And keep in mind with that Clinks versus Darkseer, it's not only in the laning phase where he's a very strong hero, and generally that Clinks would be on the safe lane. Darkseer tends to go to the suicide lane. So yes, they're very likely to be matched up in the laning phase, but it goes beyond the laning phase because Darkseer's general item progression does nothing to counter an Orchid. He's not going to get a Manta style, he's not going to get a BKB, and so that Orchid silence, so huge for not only ganking out the Darkseer, but preventing him from getting his combo off in team fights. And especially with the Prophet pickup here, this is a game where Clinks could really excel, especially if he's able to catch out really any of these heroes. Maybe not the Tidehunter so much, but the Darkseer, the Prophet, they are fairly easily ganked if they're not able to TP out or surge away. So we'll have to see. Right now, it looks like WE is going for a lot of team fight, and if this gets to the mid game, they're gonna be looking to force a fight. At the same time, it is tough to go up against mithtrust, especially if it's a Quaswex Invoker. So we'll have to see if they actually want to force those team fights. Clinks is definitely got to be a consideration here.
Oh yeah, and Clinks does well against Tide. I mean, you can just sort of, you can scout him out and then just position yourself so the Ravager won't hit you. And not to mention mid to late game, you're going to get that BKB following that Orchid most of the time. I mean, sometimes you go for the pure glass cannon where you'll get the MKB afterwards, but I think 9 times out of 10, you're getting Orchid into a BKB. So you can always just go in, start right-clicking away, not going to have to fear that Ravage. And none of these Radiant heroes are particularly good against Clinks. I mean, Prophet, he's often alone pushing out lanes or at least TPing somewhere, and he can get caught out by a Clinks and just absolutely wiped out. So this could be the ideal game. And we keep talking about Clinks. They haven't even picked it yet, but I do think it is very likely to be picked. We'll see. Do you know who on mithtrust normally plays the Invoker? Is it TNK or Lino? I can't quite remember that one.
I don't think it's Lino because he always seems to be in that off-lane position. I think it's Abba.
Okay.
I believe I saw Abba actually playing the Invoker. Earthshaker will be the pick here, another defensive hero for mithtrust. I say another. Actually, this is their first truly strong defensive hero, but they love the Earthshaker. They love that just having that fissure available, he's nice in the laning phase. You can get him some levels later on, and unlike a hero like, say, a Tidehunter, the levels are not as important for Earthshaker because even at level 1, Fissure is going to be effective. Sure, you get a little more damage, and I believe a tiny bit more stun time, but just the fact that you can slam down that Fissure, it is the same duration and distance at all levels in terms of how long the block stays. So Earthshaker will be a fantastic pick here. And I guess my question for WE is, there's a Panda available in the pool, a Syllabear available in the pool. We saw them really take advantage of MSI yesterday with those two heroes, and MSI is a lot more inexperienced than MiTH. Still, I could definitely see, especially the Syllabear, fitting into WE's lanes here. They have room for that farmer, gives them a little bit more push, and a scary team fight here if he can get up that Radiance.
Yeah, I think Syllabear, I mean, if he can find room to farm, would be very useful against some of these dire heroes. They haven't got too much to deal with that Syllabear once he gets the range. We are going to see the Clinks ban. It's smart ban for sure, and I can see why mithtrust, they don't want to third pick it, because if they third pick it, then their lanes will suffer. They really needed that Earthshaker for their laning setup. They just wanted that defensive setup, and if they third pick that Clinks, you'd see Earthshaker being banned out instead, and then you sort of see mithtrust really suffering in the laning stage and maybe getting sort of pushed around by World Elite, who then could go into that Syllabear you mentioned and just have sort of walk all over mithtrust. Instead, now mithtrust will have to go with another carry option. We'll see them picking up the Anti-Mage, maybe the DK or the Weaver. Lekels actually does play a lot of Weaver, so maybe that's going to be something they want to go here. I think Weaver against some of these Radiant heroes is pretty effective here. I mean, Tide Ravage, of course, is there as one disable, but apart from that, they haven't really got anything to shut down a hero like Weaver. They've banned out the Shadow Shaman, which World Elite have been picking a lot recently with a lot of disables, so I think Weaver could be a decent option here. Carry that E-Home have used quite a bit, but a couple more bans for both teams now. We'll see what they want to get rid of. I imagine World Elite probably going to ban out another carry hero, something that they don't want to verse that Lekels could play.
I really like that suggestion of the Weaver for one reason in particular. And I could see another hero fitting this role as well. But Weaver is a hero, if you can't burst him down from full health to nothing, he will murder you. Especially when you have a wombo combo like WE. They're very reliant on that Vacuum, the Ravage, the Prophet Ultimate. All of those spells being cast in unison in a very short window of time to take a hero all the way down. If they can't, Weaver will simply time-lapse and be right back to full health, able to contribute to the fight. WE actually goes ahead and bans the Anti-Mage, so there's a hard carry that Lekels definitely likes to play. Syllabear is the reply. I really like the Syllabear ban. I think that's what WE was hoping would be left available, and they're going to pick up Pugna. And hey, if they had Pugna and Syllabear, that is some devastating team fight as well as pushing power and laning presence, so Syllabear is the smart ban here. I think Weaver is a viable pick. If you don't go with Weaver, I mean, I doubt we'll see mithtrust around this, but something like a Skeleton King could be very powerful too against WE's lineup. It's not something that we've seen them play before, at least I haven't, but having those 2 extra lives is another way to deal with the wombo combo. Even if you die once, you're unlikely to die twice, and suddenly without the Ravage, without the Vacuum, they are an entirely different team.
Yeah, and at the same time, I don't feel like World Elite are relying too massively on that combo, though. I mean, they're going to need that Tide Ravage for the team fight, but the combo itself, I mean, they're more relying on the fact that their heroes are going to be hard to kill. Sure, they're going to be up against some pretty high DPS heroes with Invoker, Leshrac, ES, and they're just going to go for the mech, go for the pipe. Heroes like Darkseid can keep people alive. Tide is naturally tanky, and even Prophet can get up that mech, or Pugna's probably the likely mech buy, but they can just sort of move mithtrust around and make it so that they're unkillable, and mithtrust can't find any openings here. They're going to force mithtrust to go for a late game carry here, and maybe if World Elite get them in that stranglehold where they just push down towers and just get the map control up, get that gem, and basically make no room to farm. But it's going to be a Brewmaster. This is a hero I've not seen mithtrust use before.
Well, I haven't seen it before either, but it makes a lot of sense. Brewmaster, a very nice way to deal with big team fight lineups, because once he pops that ult, you don't want to waste Ravage, Vacuum, or the Wall on him. It will not affect the Panda. And of course, he can throw Tide up into the air with that Cyclone, disabling him or the Darkseer for a very long time. Brewmaster also gives you a really strong laning phase. Even if you couple him, you generally need a range support to set him up. Something like a Shadow Demon would be a great final pick here for mithtrust, although it would leave them without that hard carry. A little bit unusual to see them not having one. We'll have to see how they lane it, but yeah, the Brewmaster gives you a lot of team fight. He gives you good laning. If you disrupt first, you follow up with the clap. That's some good initiation. You also have the Fissure to help set him up. And of course, later on in the game, you'll have the Cold Snap, the Tornado. Whatever Invoker goes for, the Ice Wall, he'll have some ways to set him up. So I don't mind the Brewmaster pick here. It is a little bit of MiTH's sort of comfort zone, and that could be cause for concern. As WE opts for Vengeful Spirit, so no hard carry on WE. They're going to be playing aggressively early on, looking for those early pushes, those early ganks, and like you said, the map control.
Well, I mean, if this was any other team than mithtrust, I'd be absolutely ecstatic with their team, with their lineup, which is one of the things I just didn't expect it because it's mithtrust. I mean, you can have an ES Leshrac duel and you have a Brewmaster with a range support, but they're going to get a hard carry. They're going to go with the Weaver. there is your DPS. And that means Leshrac going to be in the support role. Brewmaster looking to be a potential solo. I mean, I don't know. He can't really go into that side lane. We may actually go in this solo top up against the Darkseer. I think Brewmaster does pretty well in that 1v1 matchup. He will need to get some early HP regen to shrug off the Darkseer Iron Shell. But basically, you can just go for a bottle or a fast ring of health, and you can do all right in that 1v1 matchup. And I think it is Arbor, so we could see either Brewmaster mid and Invoker top, or possibly vice versa. And I imagine they're going to have to put their tri-lane bottom. They don't really have a suicide solo to go up against a Jewel or tri-lane for that bottom lane.
Yeah, you definitely can tri-lane the Weaver there, and Weaver combined with an Earthshaker as well as a Leshrac, that is a very dangerous offensive tri-lane, especially against WE's lineup. They don't have the most survivable heroes, aside from that Darkseer, who is heading up top, so he's not going to be there in the safe lane, and this is what we expect. But against that tri-lane, you have the Fissure to initiate, the Weaver can chase down anyone who's low, and if a Split Earth ever hits, I expect to see the Vengeful Spirit, the Pugna, the Tidehunter, any of these heroes that are down there, if not dead, then certainly running for their life. So this is a strong offensive tri-lane, but it is an offensive tri-lane. If the pull camp is happening, if Prophet TP's in with some ganks, once he gets that level 6, or not even before then, once he gets Sprout up, if mithtrust overextends, they could definitely go down, and levels are important for these support heroes. Well, for the Leshrac in particular, and for the Weaver, you really want to get time-lapse up, max out your nukes as quickly as possible. So for now, it looks like mithtrust is making sure that camp is warded off. We'll have to see if there are any sentry wards in WE. In fact, there are. They are prepared for this, and they will be dewarding it shortly.
Yeah, and what World Elite are doing is not exactly what I would expect, but I can see what they're thinking. I mean, they want to have basically maximize their XP lead and just sort of basically make it so that they get their supports as leveled up as possible. They're going to run the Tidehunter solo mid. Prophet's going to be in the jungle here, and they're going to have a dual lane mid with the Darkseer on the top lane. The problem is they're going to have weaker lanes. They are going to get out-farmed in bottom lane, probably top as well. Invoker should do fairly well against Darkseer. I mean, Darkseer can just use that sort of farming from as far away as possible with the Iron Shell. He's actually going to do some creep skipping here by the looks of things. There we go. He's going to pull this creep wave as far away as possible, and that's a great thing to do against a hero like Invoker. You don't want to be sort of just versing him straight on, head on with the creep wave versus creep wave. Otherwise, he'll use the cold snap with his huge bonus damage just to outlast hit you. And as a result, Invoker has to stay at this tower, getting farm at tower, while Darkseer pretty much gets free farm over where the creep wave is, not going to be harassed too much by the Invoker.
Now, if you're the Invoker, or rather, if you're watching this Invoker, you might be wondering, well, why is he not actually going after Darkseer? And that's because if he tries to stop Darkseer here, he's not going to be getting any experience or farm himself. The creeps will die to the tower. So Invoker is caught between a rock and a hard place. One of the ways to punish this is an early gank and early roam, but of course with an offensive tri-lane, we're not going to be seeing that too soon. Although, as I say, that TNK is rotating up top, and Earthshaker and Weaver versus a Pugna, they could do just fine, even with the Vengeful Spirit coming in for assistance. So I like this decision by mithtrust. We might see an early kill here if TNK can set up a splitter. Cold Snap is not available.
He's going for it. Doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I mean, they've got Sunstrike. He's going to Surge away. That's what he has to do here. But Leshrac is still chasing. The Surge is going to wear off. With a Sunstrike and a stun, this could be a dead Darkseer. There's no Sunstrike as of yet. We'll see if he can land it. No, he's going to miss. Ooh, if that had landed, I think that was a kill. It was going to be just a level 1 Sunstrike, but that's still 100 damage. Although it would have needed one more right click. I feel like they could have almost got that kill there. I like that decision from mithtrust, much like you said. They don't need that tri-lane bottom. I mean, Prophet's not going to be too aggressive with his ganks. He's just farming away in the neutrals for now, and probably just wanting to get up that fast MiTH to just boost up their XP and gold lead. Not
the best sentry ward placement here by the Vengeful Spirit, who's going to be unable to find this ward blocking the camp. You can actually place a ward right here above the camp, which would spot either a magic bush ward or a ward located over in these trees, or a ward, of course, inside of the camp. And then if you still don't find it, the next step is to place a ward somewhere down in this area here, and you can spot out wards like this one. So as a result, they're not going to be pulling, which means that in spite of the fact that WE should have a significant lead in terms of that early experience and farm, it looks like mithtrust will be able to keep pace as long as they continue to pull. Prophet will be equalizing things for WE, but they're not going to have that advantage that you spoke about earlier.
Yep, and I think the key thing here for mithtrust is that they have blocked this pull and that it didn't get dewarded. That's going to really help them out at this bottom lane. That's something Prophet could have used when it was a bit low on mana, something that this Vengeful Spirit could have used just to deny some farm, but as a result, Weaver is doing pretty well at this bottom lane. Pugna, I mean, slightly out farming him, but Pugna does have the blast as well as some nice last hitting potential, as we will see how they continue that. Mid lane, I mean, that's a lane I haven't really mentioned much. I mean, Brewmaster against Tide, it's a fairly even matchup. Tide will have a slight advantage. You can spam that Anchor Smash fairly easily, and he has gone for that early bottle. Brewmaster unable to actually farm his bottle as of yet, so he's actually struggling a bit here. Tide went for the eco build, tried to get the ball off as fast as possible, whereas Brewmaster doing quite different. He did go for the Stout Shield. I like the Stout Shield because he could have been up against a Pugner where you'd need the Stout Shield, but in this matchup he was a bit unlucky because Tide got a very fast bottle.
It's one of the benefits of the way that WE drafted is that it's a little bit hard to predict what their lanes are going to be. Aside from the fact that you know that Darkseer is likely to be on the Suicide lane, still they could have had the Prophet there. Nothing was really guaranteed for their lineup. So you mentioned the farm on one of the heroes. If we take a look at WE, all of their heroes are having great farm, except for that Vengeful Spirit, who is a bit underleveled. All 4 core heroes hitting 15 CS already. Now, Prophets are coming from the jungle, so he's going to be getting a little bit less gold and a little bit less in terms of the experience. Still, they're doing quite well. mithtrust only 3 heroes farming, and because TNK took that long journey from bottom to top, he is a bit behind, but expect to see him starting to catch up. Darkseer, nice job by him. Even in that Suicide lane, he has a bottle. He will be picking up an Invis rune top. So even if you're in that lane, you can push the lane out and then go look to check the runes, help your team out, help your solo mid a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, with the jungle here and the fact that mithtrust, I mean, when you're up against a team with a jungle here, you want to win your lanes, and that's not really happening at the moment for mithtrust. I mean, they're not losing any, but they don't have an advantage in any, and as a result, World Elite have a gold and XP lead because of this jungle Prophet. Prophet has not been touched. He's going to go for that Bass ring, so we'll see if he wants to go push down some towers, just keep farming up.
Top lane,
TNK. Right now, things are going well. Oh man, that is not what you want.
What happened there?
As a Leshrac.
What happened there? I'm not sure if you caught it. Darkseer had the Invis rune. He popped it. He Iron Shelled himself first, then popped the Invis. Walked next to Leshrac, and Leshrac was probably not watching watching his hero. He was probably checking the minimap or something like that, because he didn't react for like a good 3-4 seconds, and that level 3 Iron Shell just rips through you. So great play by Lau, and frankly a kill that Myth should not be giving away. Darkseer should not be getting kills in this situation. And a nice start. That gold lead will be even a little bit greater for WE.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And mithtrust, they got Eos and Leshrac lurking around mid lane. We'll see them probably pop this smoke and then go looking for a gank. Tide at mid is level 6, so he's got the Ravage. Not really a gankable hero. I mean, sure, they have got the Primal Split, but if he pops the Ravage, he's sitting on 900 HP. He can easily shrug that one off. It's going to be bottom lane where they want to try and get VS and Pugna from behind. Those 2 heroes are much squishier, much easier kills. Yeah,
based on the path that Myth took, it looks like they're not going to go for that gank just yet. In fact, Weaver is going to eat a decent number of nukes there. Split Earth is cast and then canceled, so he doesn't actually let that one off. Looks like Vengeful Spirit is going to be in some trouble here. Split Earth to start, and this is a dead Vengeful Spirit. An important kill going the way of mithtrust. That is going to give the Weaver a little bit of extra gold, although Leshrac actually gets the last hit, so that should be boots of speed relatively soon for him. He has been upgrading the courier and playing that hard support role. The wards have died, so the pulls can begin once that Vengeful Spirit comes back. Actually, it will take 1 more minute, but that'll help her catch up in terms of levels. Also, Icy has not been contested here in the jungle. He also hasn't left the lane. He's just been sitting here farming, so while his team probably would like his help, this does mean he'll get that level 6 ultimate a little bit quicker and can start really contributing in team fights as well as pushing. If anyone dies, expect to see that Prophet showing up and looking to get a tower.
Well, I mean, for me, I love the fact this is just a Prophet who's ignoring the lanes and just farming. I mean, based on how these lanes are going, he can't really gank mid. The Brewmaster has ulti, isn't really a gankable hero. It's not like, I mean, sure, the Tide has a Ravage, Gush, Anchor Smash, but it's not like Prophet can add much additional DPS. Top lanes and Invoker, that's not a lane you can really gank. None of these lanes are all that gankable for a Prophet. So when you can't actually do much in the lanes, you can't really push any of the towers either. I mean, Brewmaster, Invoker, I mean, they're pretty good at holding those towers, especially when there's just one hero there. You may as well just farm the jungle. Here we go, mid lane, Tide. Gonna avoid that Sunstrike. Brewmaster has popped the ulti though. This is gonna be a dead Tide, even if he pops that Ravage. He'll save it though. Nice gank there coming out from mithtrust.
Yeah, great movement around the map by mithtrust, but I really like the reaction here by WE. Radiant Courier getting picked off. Maybe that was the mid lane headed towards Tidehunter. That would be my best guess. But yeah, as soon as that kill happened, as soon as they saw the gank happening mid, immediately Prophet rotates in bottom, and they will start really pressuring this bottom tower. Weaver is still only level 5, so he does have to be careful. If he gets caught out again, he might be in some trouble. Nether Blast, as well as those Prophet Treads, doing a lot of damage. Even if they don't kill the tower here, it will be killable with the next push. And I like the fact that they chose to push with that Siege Catapult. Another mark of a good team is choosing the correct time to push. It wasn't just the gank, it's also the Catapult. And looks like the push is done for now, but they do get the tower. Last hit going the way of Prophet. And the question now is, what is he going to go for? Will it be that quick earn mech? Will he go for something a bit more farm-oriented like a Hand of MiTH? They don't really have a carry, so perhaps it makes sense to let that Prophet be a bit more farm-oriented this game.
Yeah, I definitely think the MiTH is going to be a good option here. He is going to TP mid now, so they're not done pushing. They want this mid tower as well, perhaps. Darkseer was around. He's gonna. Oh, no, we're gonna see them sort of come around from the side, and this is not a good position for VS. Yeah, caught out.
Nothing you can
trying
do
to do some backstabbing. Yeah, I mean, they knew Brewmaster had no ulti. They thought, okay, we can get this Brewmaster. We've got 3 heroes mid, but no, it was just a bit of mispositioning and getting caught out by those observer wards. So, not the worst play. It was just one of those things as a support hero. Sometimes it'll work out. Maybe 50-50 call, and it didn't work out that time around, as we will see mithtrust pick up another kill. But, I mean, that tower for World Elite, that's going to help them out. Prophet just goes back to the jungle, up to 1,200 gold, getting close to that MITH, and we'll see how Darkseer is doing. Darkseer is doing ridiculously well. With that first blood, he's got up a Ring of Health as well as Arcane Boots, and he's probably going to go either for the fast Vanguard or just go straight into a pipe here.
In fact, both of these heroes up top are doing really well. The Invoker, of course, we just saw him get that Sunstrike kill. That gave him a little bit of extra experience. He's sitting at 42 and 19 CS. Now, Darkseer is the one who had the harder matchup, especially 2v1. So it's a little bit more impressive. Yes. Oh, Sunstrike onto Lau. Looks like R5 is going to have to run away here. Dove into the tower. He will go down. Prophet ult bouncing through. Split Earth not going to hit. And Lau could maybe even look to go into the Leshrac, but he is going to back off. Unsure if there are any additional heroes showing up. Vengeful Spirit has arrived. They might go back in momentarily. There are no points. Actually, there is a point of X. So Lino, if he really needs to, can invoke that Ghost Walk, but that will not necessarily save you against Ion Shell. This also frees up some space for the Weaver, who is currently waiting for the creep wave to arrive. That pull is really hurting his farm. Oh, on top, they do go in. Lina, will he get that Ghost Walk off in time? Doesn't look like it. No opportunity. In comes the Prophet. This could be a 2-kill, and this is the power of that Prophet. TNK looking to run away. Boots are not going to save him from the... Oh, he might just get out. Surge onto the Venge, who's looking for the Magic Missile. Nice team play there by WE. They do get the kill, and with that kill, top tower is most likely going to go down here.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just surged himself, but either way, they were going to get that kill. Now Darkseer, I mean, he's getting ridiculously farmed, and those 2 kills at top lane, or no, 3 kills, sorry, they got the ES as well earlier, just going to really give World Elite a lot of momentum. Now they can start pressuring some towers. I mean, Tidy can't really do much at mid, even though it has been left unattended, but he's just going to keep on farming, try to get up that pipe. Elsewhere, VES gets caught out in no man's land again. I mean, after getting that kill, she just wandered off in an unusual direction, which did lead to her getting caught out there. But mithtrust are going to have to start worrying about these towers being taken out systematically. I mean, bottom lane, you've got Pugna, Mech, Arcane Boots up. Prophet is still farming away. He's got that MITH now, and he's just going to go right into that jungle and hit one of these big creeps with that MITH, probably. Gods,
I have to say, I think an unusual direction is a dangerous way to, or a generous way to put it. That was really a dangerous, suicidal direction, especially for this Vengeful Spirit, who has no items, just 5 branches, and when you're this far behind, you don't even stack bracers because you can't afford the components for it. You just stack branches because, hey, the stats are cheap. They give you a little bit extra HP. Still, this Venge needs to hit level 6. The solo mid Tide has been very low impact so far this game, and I would like to see him maybe look to set up a gank or a teammate to come, and as I say, that Venge is looking, but you can't really gank Panda while his ult was up. They wanted to do it earlier, but with the ult returning, unlikely to get a kill here. Very hard to burst that Panda down. And it looks like top lane, we might see Darkseer in a bit of trouble. Perfect chain stun. Even the Chaos Meteor comes through and melting that Darkseer. Great pick off, the one they desperately needed. The push is going to commence.
They're going to go, mid lane. They're going for either a kill or a push. Mostly they go for the push. They get the kill as well. That's an added bonus. Darkseer's actually going to buy back. We'll see if he goes top or mid. He's going to head towards top lane though. And here comes the TPs toward mid. This tower has a lot of HP though, so they can maybe start setting up for a defense here, but they're going to need more than just this Leshrac, and it looks like the tier 1 tower will go to World Elite. And I mean, you mentioned Tidy has not been involved. I actually don't mind it too much because if you look at all these kills World Elite have got, it's when they've been diving past towers. Tide is not a mobile hero. He's got no way of actually contributing to those ganks. He can't just run through the lane. I mean, he maybe TP top and try help out, but he's not mobile at all. And as a result, it's almost he's better off staying mid, leveling up all those skills of his. He's going to become pretty much unkillable. He's not even going for max gush. He's going for max kraken. If he gets up a pipe now, he's going to have pretty much resistance to physical damage and magic damage and just be a incredible tank to run in the front lanes for World Elite.
Yeah, he is going for that pipe. Top tower is being pressured as well. If they get down this tier 1 this early, that could be a real problem. Vacuum in on both. Are they going to initiate here? No Ravage in time by Chan, and now with the Panda ult drop, Lau is in some trouble. Mech gets popped. Lau trying to get out of here desperately. Surge, the Cyclone was already used on the Tidehunter, unfortunately, so Lau will be able to escape. I believe you can Dispel Magic that, but it's really hard to hit that. Chan eats a Boulder Toss. Will he be forced to use this Ravage? Weaver has even joined the party, and everyone from WE continue to retreat back. Courier making a very dangerous delivery in the middle of all this. Icy, he's got the hand on Midas. He's ignoring this fight entirely. No mana for the ultimate, but he's going to start pushing mid in. And this is going to force some rotation back. Haystern up on the Panda. No ult, but he may be able to run Icy down here unless Icy TP's out immediately, which I expect to see. Yeah, there's no stun. He'll be just fine.
Yeah, no, nothing really to be gotten there. And true to his name, Lekels is going to be going for that Lincoln Sphere. He's got up the Perseverance, 1900 gold, so he's about to got enough for the ultimate ult, but we're not going to be seeing a Lincoln Sphere till about the 18 to 20 minute mark, so it's not going to be the quickest of Lincoln Spheres. He hasn't had complete free farm. He's up to 64 creep kills, but bottom lane was not the friendliest, and World Elite are going to start doing what they do best, just this slow and steady push, taking out towers one by one. They've got Arcane Boots up, they've got the mech, they haven't got a pipe for a bit of a while now. Tide is sort of slowly building that one, but with this strong setup here, with the Darkseer, who's got a Vanguard now, Darkseer, Pugna, Prophet, I mean, they've just got such a solid push, not to mention a Tide Ravage to prevent mithtrust from engaging on them.
Yeah, and although that Ravage was not popped immediately in the last fight, he did hold on to it entirely, so he's got it up now, and as long as the Ravage is up, it's very dangerous for Myth to engage. They really need the Panda ult, which they are lacking at the moment. And an Exhort Invoker is not going to be the most effective hero to have at stopping these pushes. You can drop a Meteor once to help remove the creep wave, but Mechanism is a good counter for that. The Pipe, once it's up, will be a good counter for that. This is a situation where you kind of want that Invoker to have Quaswex, but of course it does give him that weaker laning phase. So it's no surprise he went for Exhort, nor would I say it is a mistake, but unfortunately, at this stage of the game, there's just not much he can do, and of course a Weaver who's rushing a Lincoln Sphere. It's going to be a while before he can contribute to the team. You can throw in the bugs, that'll help slow down the push, but there's no real strong anti-push for Myth. The Leshrac was a support Leshrac. The Earthshaker not getting the best levels, and so it's going to be tough for them to really hold on to these tier 2 towers, but for now they're okay. They've stabilized aggressive wards placed by WE in the enemy jungle. This is what they like to do after getting down those early towers. Try to shut down the enemy's jungling. Icy even taking some creeps from that enemy jungle.
Those are actually Dire wards. They're Mithtrust defensive warding, I believe.
Oh, you're right. I need my coffee.
Yeah. No, I get my colors mixed up all the time. I get my colors mixed up all the time when it comes to wards. It's not as obvious. Well, if you look at the mini map, you can tell. But if you just have your mouse over them, you just see the red HP bar or the green one. But bottom lane, here we go. Bit of a just defensive vision being thrown down with the Beetles as well. It will get some vision of this VS. VS who gets chipped down low. This VS is quite swishy. They may even have to pop a mech for her. VS will probably want to build up that Urn of Shadows just so you can get those charges to heal up whenever they do throw nukes like that at you. Or even go for the Tranquil Boots.
Yeah, I would. Tranquil Boots would be a great choice here. Also gives her a little bit of extra armor to work with. Looks like Myth want to fight this. The Panda ult is up again, and Panda's got a Blink Dagger. Could be a great initiation. He's going to go for the backline heroes here. And oh, a nice Panda ult. We're going to see Pugna forced to pop that mecha very prematurely, and he is going to go down with the Fissure. Panda ult continuing to give chase here. mithtrust seem to be on a good position here. They've got the Tidehunter up in the air with that Tornado, and for now, Tide is just being locked down. He gets surged. He looks like he's going to run away. The push is over. They did force a Panda ult. The Darkseer ult was dropped as well. Didn't really do anything. Still, they get a couple of kills. They stop the push. That's going to force the Prophet to TP back. But it's actually not over
I
yet.
mean, it's not over, but I don't think they can get any more kills. I mean, it was a good initiation from Panda, but it just shows how hard to kill World Elite are. The only two heroes that Mithtrust can actually kill are going to be this Pugna and Vengeful Spirit. The other three were so tanky, and even picking off those two heroes early on in the fight, it never looked like Mithtrust even stood a chance at getting a third kill on any of those other three heroes, and that was with Weaver. It was Weaver who had to actually get out in case there was a Tide Ravage that could have killed him. They don't have the DPS to kill heroes like the Darkseer, like the Tide, and the Prophet as well, who's... Actually, Prophet's fairly squishy. It was just more he's just well positioned because of that teleport.
I was going to say the same thing. He is still pretty squishy, but what he has is 1,700 gold in the bank, so if he wants to go for some tanky style items, maybe a quick Aghanims or Necro Book, which would aid them in their pushing efforts here by a decent amount, we could see that. Weaver has picked up his Lincoln Sphere. Oh, no, he hasn't. But he is going to be pushing in the middle lane. Still looking for about 700 gold. And Lincoln Sphere, you and I both agree that this item is a questionable pickup in a lot of... Oh, nice Deafening Blast as well as Meteor. Tide got surged in. Wanted to Ravage there, but unfortunately not able to. Great job by WE, though. This is a really nice combo to have. That Darkseer to Surge in the Tide. It's essentially a free Force Staff, a free Blink Dagger. Not quite as reliable, but a pretty good substitute, and it allows him to go straight for this pure tanky style build. Yeah, I mean, WE, it's just, what can you do in this situation without this Panda ult? Nothing except give up the tower. They're being driven really far back.
Yeah, and when they had the pipe up as well, it's going to go. Things are going to go from bad to worse. I mean, that last fight, if there was a pipe up there, they would have maybe killed the Pugna or maybe the Vengeful Spirit instead. But I doubt they would have even gotten both kills if they were up against a pipe as well as a mech. Even with a great initiation from Brewmaster, followed up by an ES Fissure, Sunstrikes, it's just they don't quite have the firepower. Even Invoker, he's only level 10. He's not as high level as you'd probably want him to be at this point in the game. He's not under level by any means, but he just doesn't have high damage on those nukes, and he doesn't have a versatile amount of skills that he can be using, because he's level 1 Wex, level 2 Quad still. So it's not like he can even go for the double forward spirits to use those as some additional damage, additional for just tanking, just to help keep these towers alive. And World Elite, one by one, are taking down all these outer towers. MiTHtrust yet to take a tower of their own and haven't really shown any pressure at all. And that's a bit of a problem. I mean, it's what their playstyle's like. They don't often pressure towers early on, but this is causing them some problems as they're getting, I mean, further and further behind as every time World Elite could take down a tower.
Still, there are some signs of life. Lakelz is getting free farm during this time. Yeah, the Prophet's got a MSIevoGT, but eventually Weaver should be able to take a profit in the late game, especially with the Lincoln Sphere, a nice defensive pickup. Still, he needs a while to go, and this is what I was trying to talk about earlier before that fight broke out. The Lincoln Sphere, really a questionable pickup, I think, and it's Lakelz just loves this item and to a fault, and it's definitely cost him. We cast the game yesterday where we went for that quick Lincolns. I think it was on a Marana, actually. It was an unorthodox carry to get a Lincolns on, and it just didn't pay off at all. It's going to take him so long to be able to participate in these fights, and the fights are happening early and often. Ravage just for an Invoker, but if they get this kill, no, nice 4-staff away. Will he be okay? Ghostwalk as well, great Split Earth, and it looks like that was a wasted Ravage. Lakelz joins the fight. The Lincoln Sphere is picked up. WE may have overextended. They're just going to focus the tower. Nether Ward makes it hard to initiate. Panda does blink in, drops the ultimate. The ward zapping somebody. Looks like nobody has actually gone down just yet. Panda throws one hero up in the air, still chasing the Pugna. Pugna pops the arcane boots. Will he be able to get away? I don't think so. One more boulder toss. That will be the death of this Pugna. They do get the tower, but while this is happening, Darkseer, he continues to run. Still, after all is said and done, a Panda ult for a single kill. A tower is picked up. It looked like a horrible overextension from WE, but they are really tanky. They are going to lose the Vengeful Spirit as well. That should be the end of the engagement. So 2 heroes dead, but again, it's not a bad trade. It's just not a great one.
It's for World Elite, that's something they can't really avoid. They're just going to say, okay, well, they got those 2 kills. They're not going to get any towers as a result. We're just going to have to regroup and just get up our next big items. I mean, we are going to see Necrobook being slowly built, well, leveled up, I should say, on the Prophet. He has currently got the level 1 Necrobook. And, I mean, with that mech and pipe, heroes on World Elite took so long to kill. They had to chase that Pugna for absolutely ages. And what we're probably going to see is Pugna. Okay, he's not going to go for a 4-star. I would say he could go for a 4-star and then he'll be nearly unkillable. Because they'll go on him, the mech and pipe will keep him alive long enough, then all he has to do is force himself out. If we saw some 4-stars, I mean, World Elite couldn't even maybe get picked off by the Panda Brewmaster initiation. Brewmaster, probably as expected, is going to start making that Aghanim Scepter just to boost up the damage that his ulti can do.
Yeah, he has done a nice job of Blink initiating here. I feel like if the Earthshaker is able to farm up a Blink, mithtrust is going to have a decent chance at bursting these heroes down, because right now what we're seeing is Panda blinks in, he claps, and everyone starts to run. But if you follow that up with a Fissure, a Blink in, and an Echo Slam, that's enough lockdown where you can make sure the burn damage is going off on the Panda that entire time. Leshrac can follow up, do some Pulse Nova damage when he goes for it, which he's not right now. They Edict spam as well. I think they can burst some heroes down, but without an Earthshaker Blink dagger, it is going to be difficult. Oh, I see. Not a good position for you to be in. He will immediately be brought down. No chance for him to TP away. But while this is happening, they're pressuring the middle tower. Invoker doing what he can to slow down the push, but it's not Quaswex Invoker. Not the best anti-push at this stage of the game. Looks like they will be forced back.
And one of the problems with World Elite, I have to say at the moment, is their warding. I mean, I like where the wards are. I don't like that there's so many. There's 3 wards just all pretty much in a very sort of similar position. They only need maybe 2 of those, one in the bottom lane and then either of those other 2 lanes wards near the mid lane. And as a result, here's like Prophet just got picked off in his own jungle when they could easily had some defensive wards to protect him there. But World Elite, they're still going to push forward, and Prophet, I mean, when he's back, can just TP right in, and they're going to lose this Vengeful Spirit maybe, although they may try look to return fire on Lakelz. ES ulti does a bit of damage here. Tide looking for a Ravage. There we go. It's Weaver and Earthshaker. Can they get the Weaver? Yes, they will. No chance for a time lapse, and I don't think he had mana anyways.
It was a great Ravage, but that vacuum set it up. Really well played by Lau, and this is the power of that early mech. They thought the VS was an easy kill, but the mech, as well as the Urn Shard being popped, in a timely fashion. You combine the Magic Wand with that. That is some serious burst heal. Abba blinks in, drops the ult again. That will put an end to this push. Defensive swap away by the bench. She gets Surge, but the Boulder Toss still damaging her. Earn as well. Will they get anyone from this chase? It doesn't look like they're going to. Everyone in World Elite is very healthy, and in fact, they could look to turn around here. The Panda ult is going to go down soon. Lau gets focused down. Chan, no Ravage up on him, but the Panda ult is down. Still, it looks like WE is going to be forced to retreat back. Oh, Panda blink in, clap again. So hard to run from this Panda Weaver combination, especially with that Blink Dagger. And it looks like Pugna should get away. Buyback from Lau. He vacuums 3 heroes in. Blast as well. A lot of AoE damage. Oh, Magic Missile to follow. Abba, he's got the Blink Dagger. He will be forced to blink back. And Lido continue the chase. GGG looking to get out. And will he? Pugna, this fight so all over the place, so back and forth. Ern gets popped onto the Weaver, who's likely to come back in. Weaver is a really great hero to have in these disjointed fights. For WE, this is not where they want to be doing. I mean, sure, it's working out okay. I wouldn't say it was a bad engagement, but if they'd have their oats, they'd much rather be all grouped up mid. And mithtrust is doing a good job of spreading them out. It comes down to that Panda. As soon as he drops the ult, they're kind of forced to run, even as tanky as they are.
Yeah. I think mithtrust play it smart. As you said, they spread them out. They really make them separate. They can't. World Elite can't just pop those big AoE combos, but at the same time, World Elite are far enough ahead in terms of items, being just so tanky and hard to kill. Not to mention they've got those sentry wards all over, preventing Weaver from doing too much damage and from just going in and out of the fight. And as a result, I mean, World Elite still come out slightly on top. Brewmaster going to go in with the Blink Clap again. He hasn't got ulti. And Darkseer, there you go. Wall of Reptiles with a vacuum, gets a couple illusions. Invoker, very low. That Prophet ultimate almost finishing him off. And this is going to be hard for mithtrust to defend. They've got no Blink on ES for a long time and no Brewmaster ulti for a good 50 seconds.
Pugna is one of the very best heroes to have in this situation. That Nether Blast, you can spam it safely from the low ground. He's got the Darkseer, the Tidehunter to protect him. The Necrobook as well, going to be very helpful. They're going to get the tower. Will they continue to fight? I think they can. There's no Panda. Oh, nice vacuum in. The Iron Shell on Tidehunter, who's literally unkillable at this point. The Sunstrike comes through. Does hit the Vengeful Spirit. They finally managed to burst someone down. Lakel's time lapses out. He's sitting on the sidelines here, sort of looking to flank, and WE may back up. I think they should be content with that tower for the moment, but Ravage is up again, and I'm not sure if mithtrust realize it. Vacuum in! Ravage only, actually it hits 2. Lidu might be in trouble. A nice defensive fissure. Should be enough to save. In fact, it is Lau who is in danger of going down. Panda blinks in as well. He's going to drive WE back, and I think they've overstayed their welcome. Cold Snap on the Tidehunter. He does manage to dispel that, but he's going to be forced to continue running away.
Myth are playing this so smart, I have to say. I mean, they're behind, but they are just somehow holding on to their Raxes, to their towers for as long as possible. I mean, this was a losing battle for them. They had no Brewmaster ultimate, but Brewmaster, every opportunity he got, blink, clap, and run away. And because World Elite have no disables, really no lockdown, he would be able to do so quite a bit. And they just slowed down the push as much as they could, despite the fact, I mean, World Elite have the Pugna, they have the Giants and Necrobooks, they just have these unkillable heroes. They got slowed down to a crawl, and then Weaver coming in from behind, picking off a hero, and it was just some really smart play from mithtrust, somehow holding despite their gold deficit.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is push versus turtle. Mithtrust, of course, are very used to being that turtling defensive team. They'll sit back, they'll get their items up, they'll wait for you to make a mistake, they'll wait for you to overextend, and they will punish it. And that's why they pick these mobile carries like the Weaver, like the Morphling. It's really paying off for them here, and again, if you can't burst down this Weaver in the team fights, I mean, sure, WE or tanky, he might not kill you, but he can certainly drive you back. And if he ever gets up a damage item to go with this Lincoln's, I see WE melting a lot quicker. Most of their defense is sort of this, you know, this burst healing with the mechanism, the urn, the pipe. A Weaver that right-clicks hard, they don't really have an answer for it. Tide will be tanky, but the Pugna, the Vengeful Spirit's still pretty squishy. Speaking of that Pugna, he has farmed his way into an early sight device. That could be a game changer. And in fact, probably will be if he can hex up the Panda when he blinks in and they burst him down. That could be a real issue. Or just disabling one of these squishier heroes, locking them down, taking them on the fight, maybe getting a tower in the meantime. Or a Rex, excuse me. And the Rex are exposed now, so for mithtrust, 1 or 2 mistakes, they're going to be looking at a mid lane that's constantly pushing in.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been playing it with very few mistakes. I mean, the few mistakes they haven't just seen small, minimal things that haven't had great damage to them. But if they make one bad team fight, get caught out in a vacuum ravage, it could be all over in just a couple of seconds. They'll lose mid racks, they'll lose probably bottom racks or top as well. They'll lose a double racks. Any terrible team fight engagement. But mithtrust, I mean, they've got 3-4 at bottom. And we're going to see whether or not they can get this T1 tower. It is nice and low rate. And Weaver is at mid, putting on pressure there, not even worrying about the creep wave. Weaver is just going straight in for this T1 tower. And he's maybe going to get that, but bottom lane. Here we go. World Elite, they want to stop this tower push. And Weaver will get mid tier 1, it looks like. And Leshrac will go down. That's an okay trade for mithtrust. They'll put some pressure on. They only lose that support Leshrac. They do get the T1 mid tower. World Elite, they're not going to find any truly useful hero kills from out of that counter push.
Yeah, a good fight for, I'd say for both teams, they're okay with that. WE will be happy to get a kill, and with that kill, it looks like they might be trying to go mid. Lakel's 3,200 gold in the bank. That tower kill was really helpful for him. He's getting very close to a Sacred Relic. And it looks like we're going to see a push mid. I'm not positive, but yeah, Icy can always TP in to join this, so we are going to see that second push mid. At a WE, this is the correct way to play this matchup, especially with Prophet going for Necro 3. He's not going to be able to out-carry the Weaver in the late game, especially not with all the stun backup, all the lockdown on mithtrust side. So they need to get some racks down, and they need to do it soon, and they're set up to do it mid. Tidehunter, no more item progression on him, but he's got the core items up. He's still basically unkillable, and Surge can always be used to initiate, as well as that Vacuum. Surge into Ravage, Vacuum, very powerful initiation here for WE. Lido in the front lines. He's got a BKB, he drops it. Premature BKB from the looks of it. In comes Panda, Blink Clap, only hitting one. Surge away on the pump. This could be a huge mistake here by mithtrust if they don't get at least one kill. Tidehunter is the target because he's the only one they can focus, but I really don't see them bursting down this Tide, who's now picked up a plate mail to go with that pipe. Tide so tanky. Is that a Blink in for the Darkseer? It is. Blink in. Vacuum. Ravage is still, actually, it was used right there, and that's a bunch of kills. Lakel's looking to pick up at least one. Swap away. Do they have any detection for the Weaver? They do have that Necro 3. That's going to force Weaver back. Don't chase that Weaver. Go for the racks, guys. And it looks like WE are going to start doing just that. Great fight for WE. There's no buyback on the Invoker.
Early initiation from mithtrust. I mean, the BKB from Invoker, the Brewmaster, the Blink Clap. He did it outside of base. They wanted to wait. I mean, I guess they didn't want World Elite to position themselves so they could get off a big Vacuum, Ravage, and Darkseer Wall of Replica. I mean, because the longer this game goes, that Wall of Replica is going to become a very powerful late game tool. And World Elite will get one set of Raptors. They could go for another, but I imagine they'll back off. Maybe even go for Roshan at this point. This is very uncharacteristic. I know a lot of fans, a lot of viewers, especially in the other tournaments World Elite have played and have sort of criticized them for playing boring, slow Dota. But this is quite the opposite. They're looking. They've been trying to push down Raptors for the last 10 minutes, since about the 20-minute mark when they had their mech pipe. They haven't even gone for Roshan here. They've just been pushing non-stop, applying constant pressure to mithtrust. And this is an all-new World Elite. And they're playing really well, putting on a lot of aggression, putting on a lot of pressure, not going for aggressive ganking, just aggressive non-stop pushes.
Oh, Lakel's, he has that Sacred Relic. There is no Ravage in this fight. Cold Snap onto Chan. The pipe is popped. Lincoln's Prophet ult bouncing few through. Big Vacuum in on two. Abba gets brought down. No Panda ult for him, even though he had the Aghanims there. Kind of a mistake to fight without that, especially outside the base. Sprout onto Earthshaker, and mithtrust are in full retreat. Leshrac doing what he can with that lightning to slow down the push, but with those deaths, we may see them go for another set of racks. In fact, they are set to do just that, and they have the pushing power to at least bring down this tower. Probably the second set of racks. There is no glyph at the moment.
Yeah, and they forced the bikes from the Earthshake, so any thoughts of getting that Blink Dagger up have now gone from him. Tide is just running into the front lines with the Darkseer. Those two heroes, I mean, Darkseer at 1700 HP with the Vanguard, has actually picked up a Blink Dagger of his own. Tied with the plate mail and pipe. As you mentioned, that plate mail is just going to make it even harder and harder to kill. Any physical damage is just going to be negligible with the plate mail as well as the Kraken Shell. And magic nukes, they're not that many of them coming from mithtrust here. We are going to see them drop a fissure. Weaver right-clicking away on this Prophet, but he gets sheeped up. I don't know if there's enough damage to take him down, but no, wow. They say otherwise. They can get the kill. And Invoker running in with a BKB, but he has to be careful. Physical damage still could take him down, and there's a bit of that. I mean, just heroes like the Prophet, like the Darkseer, and the Pugna can do that. And here we go, Brewmaster, Blink ulti, takes up Pugna, needs to get at least one or two more for a successful defense for mithtrust. They've already lost the Weaver though, so anything they can do here is ultimately just going to still be a bad situation for them. They're looking for the Tide, but this Tide taking no damage at all. There's your Ravage. TP coming in, and it is going to be Invoker TPing to the low ground. And Tide gets a double kill before they take him out. What a beast.
Yeah, and that wasn't even about getting the kills or just slowing down mithtrust. It was about freeing up some time for that Prophet to get the tier 3 top. This Rex may go down. I guess it's not going to, but taking a lot of damage. One more bad fight for mithtrust, and it's all over because they will lose 2 melee racks. It's not a bad time for WE. They don't have the Ravage right now, but it wouldn't be a bad time for them to go for another push. As soon as this Pugna comes back to life, they'll have the whole team
Ty
up.
bought back.
Yeah, he bought back.
Ty bought back.
I love
like,
this choice.
Push.
I love this choice.
I do too. They're not going to give mithtrust a single second to recatch their breath and just catch up some farm. We need to finish off that Radiance. Ty just says, "No, we're not gonna hold off. There is no ceasefire. We are just gonna absolutely keep on coming until every single Rax is down."
Oh, and mithtrust, they just can't deal with the Prophet. A Prophet with a Necro 3 this early, this is why you get a quick Necro 3 on the Prophet. We saw some really late Necro 3s, I think it was yesterday, and that just is not as effective. But this early on, nobody can burst down the minions, so easy from the backdoor, and with a lead with a Prophet, it's almost impossible to come back, and we're seeing that right now. Chan in the front lines, they've got some nice wards here. They have complete vision of the high ground, looking to set up this push. The creep wave pushes in. Actually, they're going to wait. I'm not sure what they're waiting for. Ravage is down for a while. Maybe just trying to let Prophet push in the top lane first, and then he's going to TP in, and they're going to go. Treants were summoned up top. The push continues. WE are biding their time here, waiting for the right moment to initiate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just going to be a non-stop siege, never-ending siege. They're going to engage on the Prophet. I like this decision. They need to do something about Prophet at top lane. The problem is Prophet can just buy back, and they're going to go into bottom lane. Meanwhile, they will... Oh, if they pick off the Invoker here, that is going to be a disaster now. They pick off Invoker. Prophet buys back. Prophet's going to TP top. This is going to be Mega Creeps right here, and this looks like it could be game over. mithtrust have to go all out for this defense. They're going to lose with their top Raxes. The only Rax that may stay alive is this bottom one, but Prophet swinging to... Actually, no, going to go straight for the throne. The tier 4 towers has summoned some more Treants. And with 5 Rexes down, even if World Elite get cleaned up here, this game looks like it's over. Weaver actually sold his boots to get this Radiance. He was that desperate for it. He does have Radiance and Lincolns, nothing else in his inventory. He sold everything. I think even a Magic Wand was sold at this point. And Prophet going for the backdoor on the Rax. Not going to get this Rax now, but mithtrust, it was a valiant effort, but I think this is going to be the end for them in game number 1.
Yeah, this far behind, maybe you can come back if it's, say, the 50, 60-minute mark. To come back at this stage of the game so hard, even with the Radiance on the Weaver, that's not going to be nearly enough to push out all 3 lanes simultaneously, and it's just one range Drax away from Mega Creeps. Plus, you're up against the Prophet, and the Prophet, as soon as you try to fight, as soon as 4 heroes group up in one lane and start pushing, he can come and backdoor your throne, your range Drax, whatever he wants to backdoor, he's got that option. Also means a free Roshan is available, and it looks like WE is going to start taking that now. I don't see WE coming back. I don't see it happening.
Oh yeah, Roshan, 5 Raxes. I mean, you're against a Prophet as well, one of the best counter pushes and split pushes in the game. It's not really a situation where we're sort of even and Prophet's just being a pest whenever... It's not like mithtrust whenever they go to push, Prophet's just counter pushing the other lane. It's just going to be Prophet constantly keeping the lanes pushed out. All 3 lanes being pushed out, with Prophet basically spamming his ultimate if he wants to, and just TPing around. Even if they can't get that bottom Rax, Prophet can just chip away at those tier 4 towers, and slowly and surely, mithtrust will be out of this game. I mean, that was just World Elite. As soon as they saw them go and Prophet at top, they jumped. They just ran right in to go for the Rax. They didn't care about the creep wave. And Invoker was the only one at bottom. Got Hexed and just picked off. And now it doesn't really matter where World Elite push, as long as they don't do anything too disastrously stupid. I mean, this is going to be very, very slow and painful death for mithtrust, although they're about at the end of it.
I'm not sure about the slow part. I think this is going to be a quick and painful death. Yeah. But it will be a painful one nonetheless. Not a good position to be in dropping this first game. Still, mithtrust is not out of it. Of course, this is a best out of 3. And mithtrust is definitely a team that can come back from a game like this. They're a pretty experienced lineup, and hopefully we'll see some continued composure from them. I doubt we're going to see them give away the Prophet and the Darkseer. That combination is just so strong, and I just feel like mithtrust got greedy this game. Leshrac, as far as supports goes, he does require a lot of farm, and then Panda, Invoker, Weaver. Not much spammable anti-push. I mean, maybe if you replace one of these with something like a Queen of Pain, maybe a Windrunner, a hero that can just get going a little bit earlier, not as reliant on a huge ultimate to do things in a team fight, that might have worked out better for them. So we'll have to see how mithtrust adjust their draft, but WE looking pretty strong here. Prophet did TP in top, drops those Necro 3 minions, and meanwhile, FNTY sieging out the base towers. This is just a slow but sure outmaneuvering, if that's a word, coming out.
Yeah, I mean, World Elite don't even have to play this perfectly. All they have to do is do what they've been doing for the last 15, 20 minutes. It's just non-stop pressure. All these lanes are going to have to be just pressured down. Weaver's going for a BKB. I mean, he's not going to be able to get that anytime soon. And there we go. World Elite trying to go pick him off. Invoker's actually gone in with a Deafening Blast meter. They're going to maybe pick up this Vengeful Spirit. Weaver does. with the help of Invoker. So nice little pick off, but ultimately, any heroes mithtrust get, it's just going to be sort of stalling for them as Pugna does get up the tier 4 tower. One of them is down, the other one is nice and low. It doesn't really matter what Water Leak do as long as it is constant pressure. And we're going to see Pugna maybe picked off as well, does force himself out. He has now got that 4-star, as we will see Water Leak keeping it up. Bottom lane it is now. Profit is there. No Necrobook up, but it looks like with Pugna going in the top lane, mithtrust going all out. They Invoker force up in with an Ice Wall. There's your Tide Ravage, and they're just going to focus down this Rax now. There is a Glyph up though, so Tide actually needs to be a bit careful. He's taking a bit of damage, and he is so damn tanky, but I don't know if he's tanky enough. Pugna going to get the tier 4 tower, and Tide actually alive still. He's taking about 10 damage a hit from those right clicks. Those right clicks do absolutely nothing, but that Lightning Bolt does a bit more. And now we will see this bottom Rax taken out or not. mithtrust are just, they're not giving up. You have to give them that.
Yeah, they are fighting to the bitter end, and it is a valiant effort. It's just not sufficient. And WE, they're going for the Rage Rex. I honestly think they just go for the throne here. Either way, it is not going to make a big difference. I want to go back to that big team fight we saw mid, where Darkseer had a fantastic vacuum. That was actually the fight where he had the Blink Dagger up, and I love this pickup on Darkseer. We saw it yesterday. I think you were sleeping, but there was the final series of the day in the Western qualifiers. There's a Blink Dagger Darkseer, and he did work all game long. I believe it was Mouse Sports that picked that up. Blink Dagger Darkseer into vacuum. This may be the new style of playing the hero. Maybe get some tanky items up first, and then go straight to that Blink, because vacuum into wall, such fantastic initiation, especially when you followed up with that Ravage. The 1-2 punch, just devastating, and one fight was all it took. With those tanky pushing items, the Rax goes down. Pugna has his way. WE take game 1 in a convincing and painful loss for mithtrust.
It was painful. It was. I mean, it was fairly convincing, but I have to say that was for me the game so far in this qualifier where both teams have played the best. I mean, mithtrust were behind, but they played. I mean, they played with very few mistakes. I mean, I have to say the few mistakes came at top lane where they gave Darkseer some kills. Apart from that, though, that was to me the highest quality game we've had so far in terms of just skill and decision making. There was very few bad decisions by either team. It was just World Elite with this slightly superior strategy and just slightly better making better chances with their opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very aggressive lineup. There was very little margin for error by mithtrust, and WE took advantage. So, guys, we're going into game number 2. Don't go anywhere.